Am I audible? Oh, oh, hi, Yellowberry HN. I hope you're doing well. Hold on. Here, let me switch. I think I'm audible. I'm going to assume I'm audible. The bug is yapping, so yeah, it's moving. Hold on. Let me actually switch to that screen one sec. Okay, yeah. Oh, hell yeah, I have audible. Yeah. Um, I never have I have no clue how OBS works. Like the moment I open it up, I feel like I'm like reaching into deep esoteric mysteries of software that I have to click in instead of just text on a screen. Okay, but hell yeah. Um, well, I hope you're doing well. Uh, oh no, I do too. Um, it's I was telling I was at work actually, and this came up because a lot of, my job, a lot of what we do is in what's it called, like Google Sheets or whatever. And I realized being trained on something that I have no clue where the buttons and everything in like Sheets are, and I was just like painfully like being guided to navigate like and click each correct button because I'm like I have no clue how to operate this thing. I Give me like an org table and I could probably do something. Oh yeah, how do I? No, literally. Yeah, it's it's start with a fresh mind every single stream. Reset, forget everything. It's pretty nice though. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Every time is a new experience for that reason. But yeah, I've been. So let's see. What was I doing? What was I doing? Oh what? Oh yeah, now I remember. Um, yeah. So kind of going back into the work with the Wayland bindings, but exciting news! Exciting news. Let me actually see which version it is. Can you give me the version? Oh, yes, exciting news. We are now matching with a different Wayland version. We are upgraded. We are upgraded because let me pull it up. Site can't be reached. What? DuckDuckGo.com. Okay, let's see if I can pull it up here actually. Oh, it's kind of an old. Hold on. Yeah, I'm not gonna pull it up. Anyway, Geeks finally fucking upgraded the version of Wayland that's on in the repository, which means that I can upgrade as well. And more exciting news kind of in that pipeline as well. Let's go into tests. I've been doing a lot of unit tests. Yeah, no, massive. I've been like, I guess I could have packaged like an updated version. I keep track of or I have kind of like my own package branch, but it's because I built Qtile or an updated version of Qtile. Where are you? Where are you? Window Manager? But yeah, packaging it becomes a little bit of hell. It becomes a little bit of hell to maintain. Like I probably don't need half of these, but it's a pretty big file. But yeah, oh yeah, no, it's Qtile especially. So okay, so this is a whole fucking thing. This is a whole fucking thing. Let's see. All right, no, this is a whole fucking ordeal. Yeah, we're still on Python version 3.10.7. There is technically a Python Next package that is the most recent version of Python, but in terms of anything major that pulls in Python, you're kind of stuck with 3.10.7. So I it kind of sucks. I don't do a lot of Python, but I was using Qtile for a while. Oh, that kind of rhymed. That was kind of cool. Okay, Qtile, nice Qtile for a while. But yes, I was using Qtile for my Wayland compositor for a little while here because it was my favorite. Yeah, no, it's always been my favorite too because you can have the same configuration for both an X window or like X server and Wayland server since it's built with both backends in mind. The the problem is that the Geeks version is since it's on an old version of Python, it's also an old version of Qtile and does not support Wayland. So I had to build my own package for the Wayland support version, which included well, like a shitload of dependencies that were not in the actual repository. I've pushed a couple, but Python updates are probably the slowest thing on Geeks. I usually don't mind too much because I really don't use Python. I use it for. I'm on Hyperland now because somebody has a Hyperland package that, somebody else's problem to maintain, and I just have to like submit a issue if something breaks on it instead of having to refactor my own code. But yeah, um, why is Geek so stagnant in that nature? So I there's actually a couple of reasons. I think a good example of the reason why is here. Let's go to their issues page. All right, the issues tracker. I just installed NixOS on my travel laptop, and I am impressed with how fast the packages get updated on. Oh, Nix is fucking fast. Nix is a bit of a workhorse. That is the one thing I do miss about it. There is a Nix package manager package for Geeks, and I do use that. Let's go into my config really quick. So I do use that for things that I want kind of that aren't on Geeks but they're on Nix and they aren't like system critical things. I do actually end up using the Nix package manager. I would say it's pretty well supported. It's literally just the Nix package manager like built into Geeks, and you can use it exactly like you would on any other non-Nix distribution. It's a little bit better because you can actually declare the installation of like the Nix package. So from what I understand about Geeks, it's trying to accomplish similar goals as Nix, correct? Yes and no. So the thing about Geeks is it is trying to accomplish the same declarative style build where everything is built up through the configuration file, but there are some big differences, and actually that's what I can get into with or kind of show in terms of like the package stagnation. A good example of this is Zig. Oh, not Zid, Zig, which again I don't use this one, but let's go sort by date submitted. Oh, this is backwards. Okay, here we go. So this is actually a good example. The thing about Geeks is they want to be able to build everything directly from source as opposed to Nix. So Nix does a lot of like binary installs for packages, which is kind of like it's helpful, but you're kind of relying on the binary where versus building from source. Where if you're building from source, you're able to take like the whole source code, and in theory, like if something were to happen to like the binary blobs or something like that, or like the binary packages, since you have the source code, you can still rebuild the system. So the issue with Geeks is since they are trying to rebuild everything from source, you run into issues like this. Let's see, is this the correct one? Okay, yeah. Um, they won't accept binaries in the repository at all. So a lot of things have to be built from source, and that can take a long time for some packages. Like Rust, for example, they finally bootstrapped Rust so that they're able to build Rust from source. But since everything is built from source, it's kind of like a mix of one. It's like I guess a niche distro compared to Nix, so it doesn't have like as much, support. Doesn't have as many people working on it. So the actual like list of maintainers is a bit smaller. And then on top of that, you have the issue of building everything from source ends up things can take a while as they figure out some of the ways to build things from source. Like the big things that are kind of hell on Geeks, I would say, are Rust is pretty okay because you can just install from like the Git pack, or like you can just use cargo with like GitHub and everything. I've never really had an issue with Rust. The only problem there is the Rust versions are a little bit outdated, but an update for that did get pushed, and hopefully will be in like the main branch soon. But like in terms of like adding like cargo dependencies, you can just install from GitHub, and it tends to be okay. But I'd say Node is a huge problem on Geeks, and then any other systems that rely on like their own package manager can be a little bit difficult. Python, again, like Node and Python are probably the two big ones that come to mind. Most other things tend to be pretty easy. Like I do a lot of Lisp, and although quick Lisp isn't really like something you'd use on Geeks, it's Lisp itself is pretty well supported, given kind of like the nature of the distribution. Like there's a lot of people here that do Lisp. Chicken Scheme is weirdly enough, not well supported at all, but I think that's because Guile kind of takes the stage. Let's see. I wish there was better support for declarative systems on BSDs. Yes, I've only messed with BSD for a little bit, and I did OpenBSD. I have it actually on an old, it's somewhere around here, but an old like Lenovo laptop. I have OpenBSD running on it, and it's pretty nice. I do like it. Oh man, Node is just a huge problem. Yeah, no, I don't. I agree, Yellowberry. I do not use Node very often. The closest I come to it, honestly, is like ClojureScript, which even that I don't touch too much. But yeah, I haven't done a lot of work with Node, so I've been fortunate in that regard. Like a lot of what I use on Geeks is really well supported on Geeks, which I think is the main reason I'm still on here. Like if I were doing more, I guess like you'd say like mainstream languages, like doing a lot more like JavaScript or like Python or something like that, I'd probably switch. I love to switch to BSD at some point. I think it would be nice. I really enjoyed messing around with OpenBSD for the little bit of time that I did mess with it. I I like it. It's comfy. I guess I'd describe it as it's comfy, and honestly, like there's a lot less cruft on it. Would be another thing. I think about it kind of in terms of like the security sense, where OpenBSD is one of the few operating systems out there where the like more code gets removed from the kernel, some like in some updates, than it actually gets added, and so it keeps it really secure. Yeah, hardened as hell. That is 100%. It kind of threw me in for a loop trying to get it to work at first, because I did not understand, I guess, kind of the level of hardening and how like the browser sandboxing worked on that. Honestly though, connecting to the internet was probably the worst part, because the ThinkPad I have, do I have it around here? Hold on. I think it's somewhere. Okay, yeah. Um, it's a Carbon, I think is what they're called. The model. I actually ended up getting it for free. It had Fedora on it whenever I got it. Someone was giving it away, and I was like, "Are you sure you don't want?" Yeah, it's the next one, Carbon, and yeah, it was like a it was I'm not gonna, it was a bit of a steal. I offered to pay the person who gave it to me, but they were just like, "Oh no, it was a gift from my friend," but they put Linux on it, and I don't know how to use Linux, so I've just never messed with it, is what they told me. And so I was like, well, if you don't want money, I will gladly take it off your hands. And yeah, I wound up putting BSD on there, and it was kind of an interesting issue. It was one of the few laptops that, or one of the few like just actually like computers in general I have that has like the proper hardware support for OpenBSD. Because I had tried putting it on my old Acer originally, but it wouldn't even like the installer wouldn't even boot. The issue with the Carbon though was there is no, oh, what are they called? The like ports for um, Ethernet. There's no Ethernet port, and the Wi-Fi card was not supported, and I had to get like an USB-C to Ethernet support or like cable converter. But then from there, since it was like done through the cable conversion, I had to actually find out the information for the converter itself rather than just being able to connect straight to Ethernet. And it took about a day, I would say. It was pretty nice though. I learned a lot about kind of like drivers and all that from it. Oh, hello, wind up boy slash fade. I hope you're doing well. And then, oh yeah, that's kind of not great. Yeah, not great as that was kind of my experience with getting it installed. Once it was running though, I did like it quite a bit. I still use it kind of sometimes for fun. Like if I am gonna be out and about for a while or need to like wait somewhere or something like that. I think a good example here is I've been helping a friend study for one of her classes, and kind of in that situation, I just while she was like doing some of her classwork, I set on my Carbon and messed around with like OpenBSD. That being said, I wonder if I'll run into problems installing OpenBSD on this laptop. I think they have. Let me see if I can find it. I think they have a. Is it in the platforms? I'm pretty sure that you can check on the main OpenBSD site somewhere what the officially supported hardware and like laptop types are. I can't quite remember exactly how to navigate it because it's been a while. Is the browser Next? No, it is. I haven't reconfigured Next. I need to set that back up. I'm on a Wayland and it's got some, or GTK has some issues, or GDK, whichever one, GT or GD. I can't remember which one it is for Next, but or is it QT? But this is a Qt browser because I already had it like pre-configured for Wayland. I want to switch back to Next, but I want to like redo my whole configuration. So honestly, I'll probably do that this weekend. That sounds fun. But no, this is Qt browser right now. But yeah, no, I need to like figure out sort of like what, because my configuration for Next is old. Do I even have it still? Hold on. All right, let's see. Oh god, it says Acer. Yeah, this was back whenever I was still on my laptop. So it's been a while. It's been a while, and I would like to reconfigure it. I now that I know a lot more about Lisp than whenever I first was using the Next browser, I was kind of like flying blind. Then I guess is how what it would be described as. I was sort of just this. It was my introduction to Lisp, so the code itself is relatively messy. This is actually a pretty small one. Let's see if I can find one of the. Yeah, like this is a, I think, good example. The privacy like redirection modes that I have, I want to get these set back up and make it relatively hardened. And then once I do that, I'll probably switch back over to Next. But I already had all of that set up for Qt browser because it was like 5 lines of Python. So I've just been using that sort of for this setup currently. Really, I guess kind of like for my main browser, I run LibreWolf, but the streaming at least, like the little bar at the top is like way too big. I don't like it. I don't like it unless I'm running it like as the only window on my screen. But yeah, I would like to get back in the Next because I rather enjoyed it. And I had a very I'd say like to my taste at least, aesthetic setup for it. Yeah. No, thank you for reminding me about Nick's Wind Up Boy. I will. I'm actually going to switch to that soon. Oh, wait, yeah, that's right. Someone added OpenBSD support to the Nix package manager last February. Maybe I'll give. Wait, really? Wait, really? Is the. Wait. Wait, what? Oh, holy shit. Whoa. Okay, hold on. Oh, yo. Okay. Okay, this is actually pretty cool. I wonder how that works. Um, I wonder how that works with some packages. Like I know, for example, with like Wayland, a big issue with getting it ported over to OpenBSD is that it makes a lot of assumptions about being on Linux, and they had to like deal with kind of like a lot of like the underlying like the very like low level Wayland code, assuming that you were on a different operating system than what you were on if you were running BSD. So that this is really cool though. Wait, wait. Oh, wait a second. Oh, this is Nix BSD. Nix has supported platform checks and stuff. Yeah, I I knew that they had like hardware checks. I didn't know that there's that for operating systems as well. This is really cool. I might have to run this in like I don't like a VM or something, or well, I have the OpenBSD laptop. I might have to set this up next time I take a crack at like messing with that laptop. Oh, this is I like this. I quite like this. I like this quite a bit. I very much enjoy this. Oh, this is really cool. This Nix BSD thing seems to be based on FreeBSD, which is also cool. I've actually never messed around with FreeBSD. I I went straight to Open, but I've heard that kind of the diversity of like BSD systems is a lot more, I guess, extreme. Is I don't know if I'd say I've heard that BSD systems are a lot more diverse than like Linux distributions. Like I went into it thinking that different BSD like systems were the same thing as different Linux distributions, and apparently that's not the case. It's more like the difference between like Linux and Mac to a degree almost in terms of how diverse they can be. But oh, this is really cool. This is really cool. I like this. Oh, this might throw me back into my like messing with like different operating systems phase. That was always fun. That was always fun. I still can't believe I've never given like haiku a try. Whenever I was kind of like in the peak of that, I did try out Mazzano, but you can only run it in a VM. Actually, I wonder if Mazzano has any updates to it. It would be nice if work is still being done on this. 4 months ago. OpenBSD is more focused on a hard and security focused distro, generally intended for servers and shit, while FreeBSD is more for generalized use. Therefore, FreeBSD is a bit more hardware compatible as well. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I I don't know. I felt like I don't know what compelled me. I think I did OpenBSD just because I wanted to see if I could get it working, but yeah, for if I'm doing like a next build, I might actually end up trying like BSD. I've heard that they have a lot more ports as well. Um, right, BSD operating systems. Right, that is the comparison. Alright, okay. Oh, there's a lot more than I knew there were. Okay, okay. um, derivatives. You know, I think I've heard a lot about Ghost BSD as well. Um, I don't. It's very much. It feels like such a wild west of computing to me. Anytime I the Wikipedia page breaks it down quite well. Actually, yeah, no. Oh, this would be fun reading. See, NetBSD aims to provide a freely redistributable operating system that professionals, hobbyists, and researchers can use in any manner they wish. The main focus is portability, though the use of clear distinctions between machine-dependent and machine-independent code. Which one is it that uses? Isn't there one that uses ZFS? Am I right there? I've never. Okay, okay. Here we go. I've actually never messed with ZFS. I'm running BTRFS on this system, but I feel like it'd be a fun way to like poke around at ZFS like file systems. I don't. I never really understood like the differences between file systems until I switched to using BTRFS, and it definitely makes sense now. Yeah, I like BTRFS. ZFS has first class support on pretty much all BSD stuffs. Yes, that is what I've heard. That's what I've heard. It is. It's sadly not supported on Geeks. I think that someone built a package for it, but or that adds support for it that you can use during like installation. But I'm relatively familiar with like BetterFS versus ZFS, and I never gave it a try, but it'd be a nice thing to poke around on. I think yeah this. Ooh, I'm probably gonna do this over the course of this weekend or little bits here and there during my like lunch break at work. Oh wait, oh they have a chapter on Wayland. Hold up. Okay, let's fucking go. Let's go. Um, does not automatically install a graphical user interface. This chapter describes how to select Wayland overview. Wayland is a new display. Yes, I know what Wayland is. Current NVIDIA drivers should work with most compositors, but it may be a little unstable and not support all features at this time. I never graduated above ext4, I won't lie. I NixOS was actually the thing that ended up making me switch to BetterFS from ext4, and that's because whenever I was running Nix, I was using the what's it called? Impermanence, I think. Yeah. Can I spell? Close enough. Close enough. It got the result. I was running this whenever I had NixOS as my distribution, and it doesn't necessarily rely on something like BetterFS or ZFS or something of that nature, but those things make it a lot easier to deal with. But this is what I used whenever I was running Nix. It's one of the things I still. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, it's really cool. I've used a lot of XFS because I've almost always got a lot of Silicon graphics gear running. I've actually never messed with XFS. I've heard that it's really really good, but I don't know the fact that you like shrinking the file system size as a destructive action has always kind of put me a little bit on edge, I guess, whenever it comes to thinking about using it. But I have a friend that swears by XFS that runs, I think it's Void Linux is what they're running currently, and they absolutely swear by it and state that it is like one of the best like file systems out there, if not the best. And so it's always had me curious, but I've never really dived too deep into. I've never dived too deep into the whole like file system, like rabbit hole. Void the BSD of Linux is no, quite literally. I used Debian KFreeBSD for a while. KFreeBSD or Debian KFreeBSD. This does not ring a bell. This does not ring a bell. This does not ring a bell. Oh, nice. Oh, nice, nice. Oh, hello, Xor Xavier, and hello, hey, Bug Fade Yellow. How are you doing? How are you doing this fine evening or day, depending on what time zone you're in? It's evening for me. It is quite evening for me. Rather in the wind down. Just checking in. Well, glad to see you stop by. Reading about K3BSD currently. Reading about K3BSD. I honestly, at this point, I almost I can't remember the initial thing I was going to do on the stream, but oh, it's probably Lisp, yeah. Oh, it was the Wayland stuff. Oh, free BSD. Glad someone cares. Yeah, we've been talking about BSD for a little bit here. Oh, excuse me. I've never actually run FreeBSD. I've run OpenBSD. I still kind of poke around at it. I have Stump running on my OpenBSD laptop, and it's a pretty comfy setup. This project has been canceled. Okay, FreeBSD has? That is sad. Oh yeah, it says that right there. Lack of interest in volunteers. Oh, that's who knows? Maybe someone will step up. You know, it may happen. I've heard rumors of really good stability for servers. Rock solid. I can imagine. I could. Yeah, I can imagine that this would be like a really good setup for a server. The only time I did run Debian was actually for a kind of like my home lab setup before I switched it over to Nix. It was running like Debian originally. I mean, there's a reason that the PS3 OS hardware and onward is based on OpenBSD. Yeah, no, I think it'd be cool to actually like poke around at like the PlayStation internals. I That may be a little bit outside of my like my scope of kind of like confidence currently. Who knows? Maybe someday. Maybe someday. I want to get my hands on a PS3 first. So because I have like one PlayStation 4 currently that it's really just a Bloodborne machine. If I'm being honest, I don't touch it for anything other than Bloodborne anymore. I use Arch on anything with graphical head and Debian for all servers. So surprised that it died out given that it's more permissive than Linux slash GNU. That's why it died. Yeah, I think Arch was my first distribution. Yeah, no, it was my first distro, I think. Yeah, no, it was. Unless you count like I ran Mint in a virtual machine for like a couple of months, and then I don't know. I was like, you know what? I'll just I want to learn. I'll install Arch, and I did learn. I learned through, I guess, brute force, I guess would be the way to describe it, because I forgot to install Network Manager during the installation phase and could not figure out how to connect to Wi-Fi. Sony used it for the PlayStation because they could take the whole system and insisted never to reveal anything again. Wasn't this? Didn't TiVo do something similar? To some degree, and that's how we ended up getting like the new like GPL like or GPL3 licensing. I don't quite know the history on this like fully, but yeah, many such cases in this case, such as the way of the world with companies and I guess free software. But yeah, I don't know. I guess what can you do in that regard? Well, I mean they updated the license, so I guess you can always do that. But yeah, I have so with the Wayland, yes, I've been a lot of it's been going back to like unit tests lately. Has kind of been the mainstay here because I realized that rather than trying to like guess my way through guess my way like through the parser. Like running through the unit tests has actually been a rather effective means of figuring out what the fuck is going on with getting the. All right, let's go to the ASD. There we are. So I've been doing a lot of setting up testings, or like setting up like I guess a test suite to to describe it, and figuring out from there what sort of wrappers are needed for the actual like parser itself to parse correctly, because of many issues with the server rejecting client messages, which is unfortunate, but we are indeed getting there. We are indeed getting there. It's rather exciting. Like, what's a good one? I feel like I don't. The enums one, for example, was a rather exciting one. Let's see. The idea that Sony did not contribute back to the project. I like BSD, but my whole career has been in Linux. Is untrue. Like, Apple contributed back to the project. Have you got a window up yet? No, I have not gotten a window up yet. So that has been a bit of the issue here. So Wayland does a lot of, or a lot of it's like, like the client server interaction. And the issue I was having is I was creating clients that were able to send requests, but the requests were improperly formatted, and the server would reject them. I originally thought, so like whenever I'd send like a request to get a list of like globals from from the server, it would hang forever, and I just thought it was an IO issue. No, it was because the server was like wholesale rejecting the request, but the client was waiting for a response, and so it was stuck kind of like in this endless hang. So I've been doing a lot more work back on the lower level code and figuring out the way to properly wrap that. A good example here has been like working on the like enumeration values and making sure that we are actually able to generate the right protocols for that. And indeed in this case, if we go over to data here and the small output.lisp. Oh, I probably need to change the generation up here now that it's a new version. But this is this is some of the newly generated code. I should switch to Wayland one day. It is really good. I am wholesale a Wayland supporter. I do wish that it were a bit. I'd say I'd call myself optimistic in it. In the same way I'm optimistic about Geeks, where it's not perfect, but I feel like it's got potential. It's got gumption, as they would say. Two things you fear. Oh, yes. Not enthusiastic about the Wayland architecture. I actually I quite am. I'd like to switch to Wayland on my main system, but I'm currently suffering while NVIDIA's new commitment actually comes to fruition. But it does many of the things I would like to do. That sort of is how I feel about Wayland. Like, in its current state, it's not the I'd say it's not quite there, but I feel like it can get there. The whole generated protocol thing, as well as needing an X server anyway. I feel like as long as it still needs an X server, it's not doing any better. Complexity is not being removed from the stack. So the thing about the X server is that this has been, or yeah, the X server thing is definitely an issue. This sort of is slowly getting resolved as like more applications are switching to Wayland support. The big one, I guess, really, because there's a lot of gamers in this world. A lot of people who enjoy video games, and I think kind of like on that front, like the Steam Steam trying to like slowly switch over to like Wayland wine support has helped initiate that push a little bit. I don't know. I definitely like what I'd say about Wayland is it's not there yet, but I think that I think it can get there. It, I quite like it. I quite like it, though. I just don't agree with that approach. It is cowardly to choose to abandon X and all the apps, which will never be ported to Wayland. So I do agree. I do agree with this to a degree, honestly. I don't know if I would state that it was. I don't know if I would call it cowardly per se. I think from what I don't know a lot about how like the apps protocol works, if I'm being honest, but to my understanding, the issue with it has been that there's so much like legacy code and like apps itself that actually sort of like doing that switch wouldn't, it would have been a lot more difficult than just like rewriting the protocol. In terms of the apps being abandoned, Xwayland solves this for the most part currently, but do agree. I do agree to a degree. There's been a lot of efforts that have been kind of like rewriting like some of those old applications like for Wayland support. Uh, I think like DWL comes to mind, which is basically like a complete like DWM port to Wayland, but I would totally jump ship if they tried to integrate the X API into Wayland itself. It's or it's like a clunky primitive IPC over sockets. I do agree with the wishing the API was there, or that like the actual like Wayland itself was like more accessible to developers. I That probably is where a lot of my complaints come from. Like the issue with sockets thing was about apps. Oh yeah, no. Yeah, to my understanding, like with X, you can kind of, or from what I understand, like regarding X, like it's relatively easy to actually get something up and running, like on an X server, like especially like both with like binding support, but on top of that, just kind of like interacting with the code itself. I remember someone talking about the difference being like that on X you can kind of just hack together a window manager and like a couple thousand lines of code versus Wayland where you're kind of starting the entire thing from the ground up. And that's really what I hope changes. I know Wayland Roots tried to solve that problem, but I don't really think they took the best approach either. And I don't know. I don't know. I feel confident about Wayland, but I will say I don't think it's quite there. I don't think it's quite there, but I think it can get there. The more people I think jump in with support. Have you ever looked at Arcan? No, I have not. Should I do that right now? I know you had mentioned Arcan before, but I've never actually taken like a deeper look into it. Oh, this is actively being worked on too. Arcan is a powerfully developed framework for creating virtually anything from user interfaces for specialized embedded applications all the way to full-blown standalone desktop environments. At its heart lies a robust and portable multimedia engine. Ooh. Oh, this is pretty cool. Oh, I might have to mess around with this. I think this would be rather fun to. What can we find from their source code? I wish it wasn't embedding Lua, but it's better than nothing. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about Lua. Most of Wayland. All right, so let's see what. Hold on, let's see what it's getting started. Compiling from source. All right, here. It'll automatically try to figure out if it should be a native display server or run nested within, or even based on the presence of various environment variables. Oh, I might have to mess around with this some. there's some YouTube videos that demo the feature set. Okay, I have to check this out. I'll have to check this out. This is actually quite. This is quite nice. This is quite nice indeed. Boilerplate.c. Okay. This one is a bit special, as it have been plucked from Mesa and slightly patched to retrieve the render code that we were supposed to use. Alright, so that's just the boilerplate. Let's... Ooh, that's... Okay, that's just system calls. Waybridge. Only Linux. Stack Shrek Bridge client. I think this would be quite nice to play around with, actually. I might have to give this a try. This is fearsome. This code is messy. Arcan is what we deserve, but it's not what we're going to get. Yeah, that... I feel like that tends to be a lot of the... I feel like that tends to be a lot of the case with software is... I feel like the cream of the crop is never the one you end up with. Pipewire comes to mind in this situation, for example, or really anything Linux audio related, if I'm being honest. But like Pipewire especially has, it's a bit of a pain. It's a bit of a pain, but it's what I have. This is one of the ugliest things around. So the client is supposed to handle its own key maps. Why should it be easy for the compositor to know what the F is going on? Anyhow, the idea is that you take and compile an X. These are what my code comments look like before I make it look more, I guess, like quote unquote, like official or more organized. What the F is? This is they are honest. I appreciate this. But yeah, bind it up, and I'll port stump to it. I might poke around with Arcan bindings. I've been having a lot of genuinely having a lot of fun with working on the Wayland bindings for Lisp now that it's starting to like make sense. I don't know. It might be fun to just write bindings for things. Never like maybe someday the actual like applications that would use the bindings, but like just write a mess of bindings for fun and other people to use ultimately. But yes, I've been working. So this actually is some of like the newly generated code for enumerations as a bit of an example of following along with the, I'd say like the unit tests that like Wayland itself ports. So if we actually go over into, all right, where are you? Oh no. So it's been a lot of this. It's been a lot of slow and steady to a degree. Not really that slow, but definitely steady. Because these tests sort of define how the protocol is supposed to act. And control_O, hi, hello. How are you doing? Welcome. I hope you're having a fine evening or morning or day, depending on your time zone. I hope you're having a fine. I hope the world is fine for you. But yes, this, let's see. So the issue has been kind of like with structuring the protocol messages. So I've been doing a lot of work on, let's go to messenger test. And let's open that right here. No, actually, we'll open the messenger.c. We'll be having a fine snooze in a little. Same, I have to wake up at 6:30. Yeah, this tends to be the case. I quite literally, on my end, I go to bed right after these streams, and for similar reasons of having to awake early. or in theory, I go to bed right after these. It does not always happen that way, but in theory, sometimes in practice, I'm up for a little bit longer, and I don't goof around on the computer for a little bit longer than I should, as they say. YouTube.com. Will this open in the right browser? That's the real question.
Welcome to the Arcade.
Oh,
I'm dedicated to the founder and CEO.
wait.
The purpose of this video is to show the main features of Arcade.
Okay.
On our website, you can find the user guide and all the detailed information about the tool. We start on the home page, where all software projects
Wait, I want to see.
realized by Arcan are shown. Each project is represented by a card that summarizes the main information about the project, expressed in relative terms by exploiting a
This is
scale
rather
from
cool.
A to F, where class A
Okay.
includes projects with a low level of technical debt, does the least in
Only 98 views? Hold on. Is this the official Arcan channel? Oh, it is. Okay, okay. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna deep dive into this.
Hello, and welcome to Arcan Demo. Arcan is the artificial intelligence that helps you decide when and how much to invest in software quality.
Oh, this is rather. Thank you for that. Let's see. Man, our website just crashed my. Oh, name collision. Oh, was this not Arcan? Oh, is your browser Firefox? No, actually. Oh, I've had browser crashes from websites. I think my most Twitch has been randomly killing my Firefox recently. I I'm trying to think of the last website that absolutely nuked my browser. I think it was actually something I did in the console, rather than like the website itself. But yeah, it froze like my whole browser, and like trying to close the window, it just stayed open. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm restarting my window manager as what I ended up doing, because I could not get the window to disappear. But such is the way of the world. All right, let's see. But yeah, this so as I was mentioning, like the messages, this signature here is a Wayland signature, which describes, I guess you'd say, more or less like the actual like arguments that the mess or argument types that the message is passing. And this has, I think this is where things were fumbling with my initial setup. So I've been really working on hammering in the getting the messages to work properly. Where was I in this? But what's nice about these is like every little bit that I work on, there's like a new bit that I need to work on as well. So today is actually a bit more of a parser day, because I have to figure out how to generate these interfaces correctly. So if we look here, we have Wayland pointer interface dot events and then dot methods. So these are kind of like the two main ways like the client and the server interact with each other. And something in my initial code, if we go to one of the initial test runs here, scanner, where do you live? Where do you live? But yeah, these were indeed not getting generated. Like all the mention of the interface was in the generated comments, but the interfaces themselves and the list weren't getting generated. And this code actually lives in, like, the methods and requests actually live in kind of like a third part of the client server code. Let's see. If we go into test data, the private code is what it's called, which is kind of, it's the glue code. It is the glue code. A lot of this can be ignored, but figuring out how to, it's kind of like, okay, I'm turning in CLA. I hope you have a great evening, XR Xavier, and a good night. But yeah, generating kind of this glue code has been the next, I guess you would say, the next trial, and about halfway there with the actual message. So if we go to the, it is rather unfortunately verbose code, but it gets the job done. So we need to generate both like the underlying message structure for like the C object, but on top of that, a way to access it like via Lisp that is, like obfuscating the FFI. And the difficulty with messages is they come both as like the standalone messages, but they also come in these arrays, such as the request and event arrays. And so that part's actually been relatively figured out. Through here we have kind of like the core like message creator that creates a base standalone Wayland message, and then we can just pipe this over into a message lister that creates a Wayland object that holds a list of messages that kind of exist in memory, like right next, or like in the memory, like next to each other. And so this works. This actually works, and I didn't think it would work, but it somehow works, which is exciting. And so now the next part has been figuring out how to get this generated. These list of message requests and events. And here, let's see what we can piece out of this. So let's go over to the scanner really quick, and I believe that we're going to want to add this to the interface section. Oh wow, I left notes here for myself. Yes, this is. What do my notes even say? That's a good question. Um, all right, let's see. Set requests and events. So I think this should actually be two different functions, rather than one for the set request. So what we'll need to do first. So the first one, the request list takes a set of. So it takes the list of requests, and then it takes the arguments that are passed to it, and then I'm wondering how this last version is achieved. I guess how this is acquired. Small test. What I don't know what the fuck this is kind of the new issue. The new issue. So we're actually gonna want to take a look at the C code probably for this. And then scanner. And let's see if we can parse anything from the XML. No, it'd probably be so small test type. So okay, here we go. Emit message. But this is gonna be emit an interface though. All right, here we go. So this is the section of the code that we're going to be looking at. So let's pop that right there and see if we can figure out what this is actually doing. Emit code. Nice. Okay. Amazing. So I guess this is kind of like the core function that actually does like the code emission. This is all kind of non-relevant. This part actually up here. will need to get like moved over. Program name, Wayland version, but that'll be relatively easy, I think, because we're just kind of like getting the version name. All right. This is the link I thought I was pasting before. Sorry about that. Here, let's take a look at this actually.
Hey Tech Leads, this is
Oh,
Monday Dev, a platform to manage your entire product development lifecycle and connect everyone
okay.
you work with.
No. No thanks. Okay, here we go. Wait. Oh, this is sick. Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. Oh, yo. Okay. I might have to mess around with Arcan. This is quite nice. Oh, this is... I may have to... Not may, I'm definitely going to have to mess around with this. It's not even a maybe. This is quite, I would say, amazing. The actual like switching between devices, like switching the interface like to a new device is relatively intense, but like in a good way. Oh, this is cool. Thank you for this, wind up boy. This is... Oh, this is really cool. This is really cool. I have to go through their... I'm gonna start going through their code base to take a look at it. Could probably port it to Lisp, or port bindings to Lisp. Hours and hours of effort into this. Yeah, no, this is... Oh, no way. Oh, this is rather amazing. This is actually, oh, this is... Per client... Oh, sick. Per client isolation? That is quite cool. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank thank you for that. That is the security model in this is amazing. I might have to look into this. No, not might. It's not even a maybe at this point. It's a definitely. Because that's really cool. I think that'd be fun to mess with and even like write bindings for. Or like get some bindings going for it. I don't. Do you know? I think Arcane is what we should be moving to. I I am inclined. I am inclined to agree. After, I mean, honestly, like the being able to cut off the like X-Wayland support to a single client, like that alone is already a bit of a better security model than Wayland has. I think it would be quite nice to run an Arcan window manager. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm I'm gonna have to look at. That's going to be my evening read, I guess, is the Arcade source code. Because yeah, no, that not I feel seldom blown away, but I am quite blown away right now. This is quite it's quite the case. I am actually very blown away by this. Whoa. Okay, that is really cool. I don't know. I Do you know off the top of your head if they do the code generation thing similar to Wayland? If not, that'd be a lot less legwork. Like I understand C well enough, that I feel like actually binding the syscalls and everything wouldn't be too painful. Because the code generation on this is where I'm getting fucking stumped. It's all written in straight C. Oh hell yeah, no XML protocol parsing. That absolutely beautiful. But I'm not a C programmer. I actually, I mean, I quite like C. I love it. It is. I think it's a rather. I may be in the minority here, or I've been told that this is not quite the take. Unless I guess um, maybe on Twitter or whatever, I know that there's like a whole subculture of what is it like the cracked C developers, but um, I I've been I think I may have a bit of a soft spot for it because it is the first language I learned whenever I was getting into programming, which actually set me up for a bit of a struggle with moving onward to things that weren't C because like joke like people talk about like it's easy to like foot gun yourself like with C, which it's true, it's absolutely true that it's easy to shoot yourself in the foot, but it's such a small and simple language. And then I think shortly after C, like the next thing I tried to work through was JavaScript, and I could not wrap my head around how much stuff JavaScript had and frameworks and all of that. It was I don't know. It felt like going from figuring out how to build like an IKEA chair to like having to um like I don't know, like assemble a car. I was just like I do not understand the jump. Horrendous transition on that one. Yeah, it was rather terrible. It put me off JavaScript for a while. I've been coming a bit more around to it. I don't really do JavaScript much at all, but I've come around to it a little bit more. I still don't really understand how frameworks are fully. My origin story is 6502 ASM to C to Python to Lisp. Oh, nice. From C to Python to Lisp. The Python to Lisp is I rather appreciate that part. I rather appreciate that part. I've never used Python outside of it being like an application configuration language, um, but I don't know. I feel like I mean I've messed around with I've messed around with it some. Like it seems relatively, the white spaces get me is what I would that's what I have to say about Python. The white spaces get me. They get me quite nefariously. I really hate Node. I am inclined to agree to a degree there. I haven't really had to work with Node personally, so I'm thankful. I live in fear of the day that I have to do something involving Node, but really I'm just hoping I can, or I really just kind of hope that I can get by with Clojure and ClojureScript. When they're like, if it comes down to like things more complex than just standalone JavaScript without like implementing Node or something like that. All right, let's. It would have been better if they left it a Lisp. I do agree. I do agree here. I agree wholeheartedly here. It I do rather enjoy it. Does it still feels somewhat lispy, so it's not like a pain to write. For me at least, but I do agree. I wish it were an actual Lisp. I admittedly it's kind of my, or in terms of working with it, it's a bit more of a last. It's kind of the last language I go to. I don't do a lot of web stuff, but whenever I do web or like any sort of web work, it starts off in Clojure and like ClojureScript. But if doing it in ClojureScript is too convoluted, I will switch over to JavaScript at that point if it's something like simple. I went Perl, Lua, Python, C#, C/C++/Ruby/Rust, with some other minor languages between that I can't recall. Mine is somewhat bumpy. Pascal, Java, C++, C#. Hello, Niche Penguin. I hope you're doing well this evening or afternoon or day or whatever time zone you're in. I, yes, hello, hi, hello, and hi. I've never actually messed with Perl. I think it'd be fun. I do not say in this period of time, that would be great. That would be an amazing one. Just I hope you're having a great current time zone. Perl is a creature of its time. I do not recommend it. I Yeah, it probably is. You're probably right there. I don't know. I think the closest I've gotten to messing with it has been IRC. Somebody who has never had to work on the maintenance of a Perl system could say that. It's still pretty interesting. I I have a friend that's actually a rather big fan of Perl, and that's honestly the closest I've come to with like is like any advice they give me regarding it has been the closest I've come to like brushing it up against Perl beyond like IRSSI scripts, but even those they get it seems rather interesting. It seems good to know, maybe not to use a lot, but like good knowledge, a good thing to add to the brain. As in simple cases, some advantages in concision. That is very true. Let's see. Protocol dash names. Okay, so these are. Vino said an awk Perl is redundant. That is my hot take. This could very well be true. This, I could see this being the case. All right, let's see here. So, I wish that they. What should I call this? Let's just give it a bit of a filler name. So. Set message I'll just do set message arrays, and this is defined by the name of the protocol and then the interfaces. Okay. Okay, this isn't too bad. So this will actually be a bit of a... Let's move this over to the protocol section. Should... No. No, most of it will actually be working with the interfaces, so... But we will take as the arguments the protocol name and what else we'll be working with here. Okay. So we'll leave it at protocol name first. And then let's see. Waiting list for each. Okay, so we are processing the request list and the event list for each interface. Okay. I think this could be a do list, relatively easy, or just regular recursion. I think we're going to want to recur over this. It creates a list. Alright, there we go. So this would actually be the interface array. Alright, let's see. Where protocol name is the name of the generated protocol, creates a Wayland interface array containing the message arrays for the different interfaces. I wonder what these nulls are. Alright, let's see here. Emit null run. Alright. What is emit null run? Oh, this... For I is less than protocol, null run length, I++ print null. Alright, what is null run length? Alright, how do we generate the null run length, though? This is... not... This is not in the XML, so... Let's pull up... small.xml. What is the null run length? I, I rather wish that they had provided more proper documentation on the scanner itself, considering that this is sort of like what any sort of binding work hinges on. Um, let's see. What are we working? Emit types forward declaration. This is rather. I'm wondering actually. So if you look here, this is the first interface. Oh, I do hope you have a great evening. Yes, it'll probably be that time for me as well, in about 20-ish more minutes. Yes, have a good night. And a great rest of your evening. Oh 07 indeed. Oh 07 indeed. Oh, I put 07. You same difference. Same difference. Oh 07 indeed. All right. Let's see. Emit. All right. Emit no run. I don't know if we actually. I guess the question now comes down to, do we need to handle the null run emission? For now, we will just pretend that doesn't exist and actually set about generating the, well, for the interface array, and now that I think about it, I don't have an array generator for the interfaces, so I guess that we are going to implement that really quick. Alright, lisp, alright, a Wayland interface. Okay. I probably don't want to def method this because we're going to want to allocate, what's the word, contiguous, allocate memory so that they're all next to each other. That is, yes. I'll change this over to a function really quick. And right here, we'll go ahead and open another version, and let's see what we're doing with the messages. And so we'll inherit a Wayland object as usual, just to get access to some of those underlying C structure slots. And I believe for an interface struct, we really do only need, similar to the message, we only need access to a pointer to the beginning of the array and then the actual like array itself. So I think honestly, yeah, interface array and init form. We'll set that to nil as well, and the accessor will just be a little bit wordy, but I remember that a little bit better than shortening it to like iFace array or whatever. In the world of autocomplete, I don't know, wordy variable names are, I do not worry about them too much. iFace array pointer. This one I will shorten because it's already a little bit too lengthy. And we're going to want to set this to nil as well. Alright, perfect. So what we'll want to do next is reinitialize this as a defun for rather than a method. That way as well it can be wrapped up into a setf a little bit more, I guess, a bit prettier. If I knew a bit more about methods, I would probably be able to define it still as a method that runs after we check to see if like a list making method is going to be run, but for now it shouldn't be too hard to change it back to a method if I do go that route. The function interface seems to work pretty well though. But we can actually get rid of that there, and those will be our init arguments. And let's see, what will we need to do here? What will we need to do different? So I've struct type interface struct Wayland interface C type. Yeah, so since we are doing or like making it rather than using the initialize instant method, we actually will need to make an instance of the class and return that from here. Everything else should be relatively the same. I'm gonna run through really quick just to double check, but let's see. Let interface make instance, and do I just call this interface? Yes, I do. I hope that does not create a name conflict later. If it does, I can just change the name, but for now we'll just keep it as interface, because if I change it to like WL-interface, it's gonna have a name conflict with the FFI code, which is annoying. But I can just do Wayland the full word. I'll cross that bridge when it comes, or however the phraseology goes, however the term goes. Cross that road. I pretend that I know. I'm gonna pretend that I know. All right. let's see, make instance, interface. All right, and then we're going to want to loop in that let all the way down here, and then let's see, let's actually oh, let's two-line some of these variables just so I can see exactly what's being worked through. Onto a bit like messy code. Ideally anyone working with this is not going to have to be dealing with this part of the code. Is sort of the plan. Alright, so are we setting all of the slot values? Let's see. Okay. So we're setting the foreign slot values here for the underlying C struct. And we're doing the name, version, method count, methods. Oh, it's gonna throw me an error. Hold on. If I do not fix the namespace for this. Alright. Let's see. Oh. Version is not external. Okay, we'll make it external. We'll go ahead and make it external. I too shall depart into the sweet embrace of sleep. Good time of day, friends. Yes, good. Have a good sleep in a good current time zone. Is version the only thing that we're going to need to? Probably not. Let's go ahead and export. And maybe now, well, yeah, let me. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Alright, so how did I implement the listing here? Alright, yeah, I think it's gonna be relatively similar message, but oh, probably a little bit more verbose because we're dealing with, I think, double the number of slots in this instance. Alright, and interface array will just be an empty instance of the interface array. to initialize the initial, or we'll have to initialize a pointer to, yeah, same thing as the messages, to a set of structs in memory of the same count as the number of interfaces we're passing. And we'll just go ahead and set that initial. Now it's a slot value. What did I call the slot? Really quick. I face a repointer. Alright, where do you live? And yeah, we'll just set it to the interface list pointer. And loop for yeah, I don't think we're using that name down here. Okay. Okay. Loop for interface and interfaces for index from 0 to minus count 1. Oh, not message point. Let array, and then we have the index will just be set to index. And I believe that this is just setting the slot values. Yep. Okay. Now this is where it's going to be a little bit interesting. So with waylaid messages, it was easy enough to define a message like this and build it out from there. If we look at the interfaces, let's go to an XML. Alright. There's a bit more data to parse out in this. That being said, let's hop to the top of this. Okay, I think that we will be able actually to get all this information from this Wayland interface class that I have for the parser. Let's see what we're dealing with up here. So we're able to parse out the name, the version, requests or methods are just the request events, and then the counts can just be the count of the list. Okay. Okay, this shouldn't be too bad. Alright. And we just want to make an interface, and what are our slots here? Oh, wrong direction. I have to go down. Alright, here we are. So we're dealing with the interface name, the version, alright, and let's see, event count, interface name, oh, version. Okay, there we go. And that's the end of the let statement. And yeah, we just need to go ahead and push that in there. Alright. Push new. What do I call the interface array? Oh, just interface array. And let's see. Alright, and then I believe at least the last thing should just be set effing the value. Wait. Looks like I might have missed the parentheses up here somewhere. Let's see. Yep. Yep. And the last thing we have to do actually is reverse the list of interfaces so that it's in the way that Wayland expects it to be, instead of, because otherwise they get added in reverse. Which the list of interfaces is never really super lengthy, so it shouldn't be too costly. Compared to like reversing the entire protocol that's being parsed, I guess. Because it would be one or the other in that case. And then we'll run a interface pointer is defined but never used. Well, that's not good. I don't believe we actually... Alright. Let's see, because it should conform similar to the message setup. Just different arguments being passed, or like different like variables being passed around. And for the Wayland message, we are taking the pointer. Oh. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we actually will need to add a pointer to this as well. and then a conditional, okay, forgot about that part because we actually want to set that based on the collected allocated struct in this instance. Alright, let's see if we get that warning this time round. Let's take a look at the message really quick again, and see what we're dealing with there. Okay. So we pass it in as a keyword up here for message PTR, and oh, okay. This one's not a get effable. That makes sense because we wouldn't want somebody actually passing that in. Okay, cool. So this works. I want to see if I can pass in a dummy interface to it really quick. Interface name, hi. A version 100. We'll do a meth count of, yeah, that's like enough methods. No class name interface array. There should be. Rather odd. Oh, oh, yeah, that would, that would probably help. LOL, typo. Okay. Undefined slot version and foreign type. Oh, I forgot that. Reload after I exported. I get to make the migration from IDA Pro to Ghidra tonight for a project I've been working on. So fun. Oh, congrats. Congrats. That does sound fun indeed. Long night. I do I do indeed feel this sometimes with projects. Speaking of long nights, I guess it's time to cap off this stream. Here, I will send y'all all over to elsewhere. Let's see who is doing things. Who is doing things on this fine evening? Who are the movers and shakers of Twitch currently? Let's see. What's going on? What's occurring here? The moving and the shaking, yes. The question is where and whom. That is the eternal challenge. I am always open as well to suggestions on this front. Usually because I find cool streamers that way as well on my end. But let's see. Let's see what's going on. It's a great search of recommended channels as well. S9T Pepper. Okay. This is rather nice. No suggestions. I'm just going to throw a Hail Mary. And let's see. Where I'm gonna throw to the winds of the recommended, as they say, the recommended, as they say. Which one looks coolest though? Always the question. Alright, this looks quite nice. Let me examine. Alright, cool. Hold on. Where the fuck did my tabs go? Yeah, I'll send over to S9T Pepper _ software and game development. Yeah, and enjoy. Have a great rest of your evening viewing other people. So yeah, let's start this. Alright, here we go. Yeah, I hope everyone does well. And oh, it's counting down. Alright, let's go.